The December rain hammered against the windows of the small apartment on Music Row, creating a rhythmic percussion that Lily Anderson had learned to appreciate over the years. At 17, she had developed an acute awareness of sounds that most people ignored. The hum of the refrigerator 2 rooms away, the neighbor's television through the thin walls, the way her guitar strings resonated differently depending on the humidity in the air. Lily sat cross-legged on her bed, fingers moving across the frets of her acoustic guitar with practiced precision. Her long auburn hair fell loosely around her shoulders, and her unseeing eyes, a striking shade of green that still caught people off guard, were closed in concentration. She was working on a cover of Amarillo by Morning, one of George Strait's classics that had become her personal anthem. You look up and down for somewhere to go. You've got to move on. Life don't stop for those who've lost their way. She sang, her voice carrying a depth that seemed impossible for someone her age. It was a voice that understood loss, that had wrestled with darkness and emerged with something precious. Authenticity. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, and she reached for it with the ease of someone who had long ago memorized every inch of her small world. The accessibility feature read the message aloud. "Lily, it's Daniel. Got some incredible news. Call me ASAP." Daniel Fisher had been her vocal coach for 3 years, ever since she'd started performing at open mic nights around Nashville. He was a former session musician who had worked with half the big names in country music before a hand injury ended his guitar career. Now he channeled his passion into nurturing young talent. And Lily was his proudest project. She tapped the call button and waited through 2 rings. "Lily! Thank God you called back." Daniel's excited voice filled her ear. "Are you sitting down?" "I'm always sitting down when you call, Daniel. You know that," she replied with a slight smile. Right. Listen, you know the benefit concert happening next Friday at the Ryman? The one raising money for the Tennessee School for the Blind?" Lily's heart skipped. Of course she knew about it. George Strait was headlining. His first Nashville appearance in 2 years. The entire city had been buzzing about it for months. She'd tried to get tickets, but they'd sold out in minutes. "What about it?" she asked, trying to keep the hope out of her voice. "They want you to perform. Not just perform. They want you to sing Amarillo by Morning with George Strait, on stage, at the Ryman." The guitar slipped from Lily's hands and landed on the bed with a soft thud. She couldn't speak. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Lily? You still there?" "Daniel, this isn't funny. If you're joking, I'm dead serious. The organizers heard your performance at the Bluebird Cafe last month. Someone filmed it, and it got shared around. They think having you, a blind 17-year-old with a voice like yours, performing with George Strait, would be powerful. Exactly the kind of story they want to tell." Lily's hands trembled. George Strait. The man whose music had literally saved her life 5 years ago, when she'd been drowning in despair after losing her sight. The artist whose songs had taught her that life could still have meaning even when everything went dark. "When do I need to confirm?" she managed to ask. "I already did. We have rehearsal on Wednesday at the Ryman. You'll meet George there. Lily, this is it. This is your moment." After the call ended, Lily sat in silence, letting the reality wash over her. The rain continued its steady percussion against the windows, but now it sounded different, like applause, like possibility, like the beginning of something she couldn't yet name. She reached for her phone again, scrolling to the contact labeled Mom Office. Her finger hovered over the call button for a long moment before she pulled away. Rebecca Anderson would be in meetings. She was always in meetings. And even if she answered, what would Lily say? That her daughter was about to perform with George Strait at the Ryman? Rebecca would probably say something like, "That's wonderful, sweetheart. in that distracted tone she'd perfected, the one that meant she was already thinking about the next conference call. Instead, Lily called her best friend, Jordan Hayes, who screamed so loud that Lily had to pull the phone away from her ear. "Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!" Jordan shrieked. "Lily Anderson, you're going to be famous. You're going to sing with the George Strait. It's just one song, Jordan. At a benefit concert. Just one song? Just one song? Do you know how many people would kill for this opportunity? This is going to change everything." Lily wanted to believe her, but a familiar anxiety crept into her chest. Change was terrifying when you couldn't see it coming. For 5 years, she'd built a careful routine, a controlled environment where she knew where everything was, where every step was measured and safe. This opportunity felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, being asked to jump into darkness. But wasn't that what she'd been doing every time she stepped on stage? Every time she poured her heart into a song? The darkness was already there. Maybe it was time to stop fearing it and start using it. 3 floors below Lily's apartment, in the underground parking garage, a sleek black Tesla pulled into a reserved spot. Rebecca Anderson sat behind the wheel for a moment, staring at the steering wheel without really seeing it. The dashboard clock read 10:47 p.m. Another late night. Another day where she'd promised herself she'd be home by 7 and failed. At 42, Rebecca carried herself with the polished confidence of someone who'd clawed her way to the top of a male-dominated industry. Her dark hair was pulled back in a severe bun, and her designer suit, even at this hour, remained crisp and unwrinkled. Soundtech Innovations, the company she'd built from nothing, had just secured a $15 million investment round. She should be celebrating. Instead, she felt hollow. She picked up her phone and scrolled through her calendar for tomorrow. 7 board meeting, 9:30 investor presentation, 11 product development review, 1 p.m. lunch with potential clients, 3 strategy session, 5 conference call with the West Coast team. Somewhere in there, she'd need to eat. Though lately food felt more like fuel than pleasure. There was nothing on her calendar about Lily. There never was anymore. Rebecca closed her eyes and saw her daughter as she'd been 5 years ago. A vibrant 12-year-old with eyes that sparkled with mischief and dreams. Eyes that could see. Before the diagnosis. Before the genetic disorder that no amount of money or specialists could reverse. Before the gradual dimming, and then the final, terrible darkness. She'd tried everything. The best doctors in the country, experimental treatments, consultations with specialists in Germany and Japan. She'd poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into finding a cure, a treatment, anything, and she'd failed. The only thing she'd succeeded in was building a company worth millions while watching her daughter's world shrink to nothing. The guilt was a living thing inside her chest, something that gnawed and twisted and never let her rest. So she worked. She worked until exhaustion made thinking impossible, until the only thing she could focus on was the next deal, the next product, the next victory that might somehow make up for the one battle she'd lost. Rebecca grabbed her briefcase and took the elevator to the 8th floor. The apartment was dark when she entered, only the hallway light left on for her. She could hear the faint sound of Lily's guitar from the bedroom, a melody she didn't recognize. She wanted to knock on the door, wanted to ask about her day, her music, her dreams. But they'd fallen into a pattern over the years, a careful dance of avoidance where Rebecca provided everything material and Lily asked for nothing emotional. It was easier that way, less painful. Rebecca went to her own bedroom, kicked off her heels, and collapsed onto the bed without changing. Tomorrow would be another long day. They were all long days now. In the darkness of her room, separated by 2 walls and 5 years of accumulated silence, Lily practiced Amarillo by Morning one more time. Her voice carried through the apartment, achingly beautiful and desperately lonely. But Rebecca had already fallen into an exhausted sleep and didn't hear it. Wednesday morning arrived wrapped in fog, the kind that made Nashville feel like a city suspended between earth and sky. Lily stood outside the Ryman Auditorium, her white cane tapping a nervous rhythm on the historic sidewalk. The building radiated an energy she could feel, even without seeing it. Over a century of music, dreams, heartbreak, and triumph soaked into every brick. "You ready for this?" Daniel Fisher asked, his hand gentle on her shoulder. "I don't think I'll ever be ready for this," Lily admitted, "but I'm here anyway." "That's the spirit. Come on, let's get you inside before you freeze." The interior of the Ryman enveloped her in warmth and the smell of old wood and polished brass. Their footsteps echoed differently here than in modern buildings. The acoustics, already legendary, already testing her voice before she'd sung a single note. Lily Anderson? A woman's voice, professional but kind. "I'm Patricia Hughes, the event coordinator. We're so thrilled to have you here." "Thank you for the opportunity," Lily said, extending her hand in the general direction of the voice. Patricia grasped it warmly. "George is running a few minutes late. Traffic from the airport. But we can get you set up on stage. Let you feel the space." They guided her through the historic venue, Patricia narrating the surroundings. "We're walking down the center aisle now. Original wooden pews on either side. The stage is straight ahead. About 20 more steps." Lily counted. 15, 16, 17. The wood beneath her feet changed, became the stage floor she'd dreamed about standing on since she was 12 years old. "The audience will be here," Patricia gestured, though Lily couldn't see. "About 2,000 seats, all sold out. And you'll be standing center stage, with George on your right. 2,000 people." Lily's stomach tightened. The largest crowd she'd performed for was maybe 200 at the Bluebird Cafe, and she'd been terrified then. "Where's the microphone?" she asked. "Right here." Daniel took her hand and guided it to the stand. Lily ran her fingers over it, memorizing its height, its position, the way the metal felt under her touch. "Can I practice? Just to hear the acoustics?" "Of course," Patricia said. "Take your time." Lily cleared her throat and began singing Amarillo by Morning, a cappella, her voice tentative at first, then growing stronger as the acoustics of the Ryman wrapped around her like an embrace. The sound bounced back from the walls, the ceiling, creating harmonics she'd never experienced in smaller venues. She was halfway through the second verse when she heard it. A door opening at the back of the auditorium, footsteps approaching, then stopping. Someone was listening. She could feel the quality of attention, the way the air in the room shifted when someone truly heard you. Lily finished the song, her voice holding the final note until it dissolved into the silence of the empty venue. "Well, I'll be damned," a deep Texas drawl said from the back of the auditorium. "They told me you were good, but that was something else entirely. George Strait." It was actually George Strait. Lily's knees went weak. She gripped the microphone stand to steady herself. Footsteps approached the stage, measured and confident. "I'm George. I guess we're singing together on Friday." Yes, Lily couldn't form a coherent sentence. "I'm Lily. Lily Anderson. I'm sorry. I'm not usually this inarticulate. You're George Strait." His laugh was warm, genuine. "Last time I checked. And you're Lily Anderson, the girl with the voice of an angel. Fair trade, I'd say." He stepped onto the stage, and Lily heard the creak of the boards beneath his boots. Patricia mentioned you've been blind for about 5 years. How do you want to handle the staging? I can stay close, give you cues. I'm okay with distance, Lily said quickly. I've learned to work with space, and I know the song by heart. Every word, every note, every breath. I just need to know where you'll be standing so I can orient myself. You've got grit, kid. I like that. There was approval in his voice. How about we run through it once? Just us and the piano. Get a feel for how we sound together? A piano started up from the side of the stage. Someone Lily hadn't even known was there. The opening chords of Amarillo by Morning filled the Ryman, and George began to sing. His voice was exactly as she remembered from countless recordings, but richer somehow, more textured in person. When her verse came, Lily joined in, and something magical happened. Their voices wove together like they'd been singing together for years, his weathered experience blending with her raw emotion to create something neither could achieve alone. They ran through the song 3 times, adjusting harmonies, finding their rhythm. George was patient, professional, but also genuinely impressed. Lily could hear it in the way he asked her opinion, the way he adapted his phrasing to complement hers rather than overshadow it. "You've got something special, Lily," he said after the 3rd run-through. "Not just talent. Plenty of people have that. You've got truth in your voice. People can hear it. They can feel what you've been through, what you've overcome. That's the difference between a singer and an artist." Lily felt tears prick her unseeing eyes. "Your music helped me survive the worst time of my life. When I lost my sight, when I wanted to give up on everything, your songs reminded me that there was still beauty in the world, even if I couldn't see it anymore. Music has a way of doing that," George said softly. "It finds us when we need it most. I'm honored my songs could be there for you." They talked for another hour about music in Nashville and the strange journey that had brought them both to this moment. George told her about his early days playing honky-tonks in Texas, the lean years, the lucky breaks. Lily told him about learning to navigate darkness, about finding her voice when everything else felt lost. Daniel watched from the front row, hardly believing what he was witnessing. This wasn't just a rehearsal. This was George Strait treating a 17-year-old blind girl like a peer, like an equal. This was the kind of validation that could change a young artist's life. "Same time Friday?" George asked as the session wound down. "Sound check at 4, doors open at 7, show starts at 8. You'll go on about halfway through. Build the anticipation." "I'll be here," Lily promised. "I know you will." She heard him start to walk away, then pause. "Hey, Lily, your mama coming to the show?" The question caught her off guard. "I don't know. Probably not. She's very busy with work." "Well, if she can make it, she should. I've got a feeling this is going to be a night she won't want to miss." After George left, Patricia took Lily aside. "The media interest in this is already intense. We've had calls from local news stations, music blogs, even some national outlets. Everyone wants to interview you before the show. Are you comfortable with that?" Lily's first instinct was to say no, but Daniel squeezed her shoulder encouragingly. "This could be really good for your career, Lily. Get your name out there." "Okay," she said uncertainly. "I'll do a few interviews." "Great. I'll set up a press session for tomorrow afternoon. Nothing too overwhelming. Maybe 4 or 5 outlets." As Daniel drove her home, Lily was quiet, processing everything. The rehearsal had gone better than she'd dared hope. George had been kind, respectful, genuinely invested in making their duet special. But now, the reality was settling in. This wasn't just a private moment anymore. This was becoming a story. a narrative that the media would shape and sell. "You okay?" Daniel asked. "I'm scared," Lily admitted. "What if I mess up? What if I freeze on stage? What if everyone's expecting this perfect inspirational moment and I just can't deliver?" "Listen to me," Daniel said, his voice firm. "You're going to be nervous. That's normal. But when you open your mouth and sing, all of that will fall away. It always does. That's your gift. You disappear into the music. Trust it. Trust yourself." When she got home, the apartment was empty. Rebecca was at a conference in Atlanta and wouldn't be back until late Friday night. After the concert would already be over, Lily had mentioned the Ryman performance in passing a few days ago, and Rebecca had said something vague about trying to make it. But Lily knew better than to hope. She made herself dinner, practiced the song another dozen times, and tried to quiet the anxiety that buzzed beneath her skin like electricity. Tomorrow would be interviews. Friday would be the performance. And somewhere in between, she had to find the courage to step into the spotlight and not be blinded by it. Ironic, given that she couldn't see light anymore anyway. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jordan. "I'm coming to the show. Got a ticket from someone selling last minute. Front row. I'm going to scream so loud when you take the stage." Lily smiled. At least someone she loved would be there to witness this moment, even if it wasn't the person she most wanted to see. Thursday's press session turned out to be far more intense than Lily had anticipated. Patricia had set up a small conference room at the Ryman, and what was supposed to be 4 or 5 outlets had somehow multiplied into 12 journalists, 3 camera crews, and a photographer from the Tennessean. Lily sat in a chair facing an invisible audience of recording devices and curious strangers, her hands folded in her lap to keep them from trembling. Daniel sat beside her, occasionally interjecting when questions became too invasive. "Lily, how does it feel to be performing with a legend like George Strait?" asked a woman from Nashville's scene. "Surreal," Lily answered honestly. "His music was such a huge part of my recovery after losing my sight. To actually sing with him feels like a dream I don't want to wake up from. Can you tell us about losing your vision? What happened?" Lily had told this story dozens of times, but it never got easier. "I was 12. I had a genetic disorder called Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. It's rare. It affects the optic nerve and causes progressive vision loss. Over the course of about 6 months, I went from perfect vision to complete blindness. No warning, no treatment, no cure." "That must have been devastating for your family," another reporter said. "How did your parents handle it?" The question landed like a punch to the gut. Lily's throat tightened. "My dad passed away when I was 8, so it was just my mom and me. She tried everything. Every doctor, every specialist. She blamed herself for not being able to fix it. And where is your mother now? Will she be at the concert?" "She's a CEO of a tech company, Sound Tech Innovations. She's very dedicated to her work." Lily's voice remained neutral, practiced. She'd learned long ago how to talk about Rebecca without revealing the ache beneath the words. A young journalist from a music blog asked, "There's been some talk online about this performance being exploitative, using your disability as inspiration porn. How do you respond to that?" Daniel tensed beside her, but Lily held up a hand. "I understand that criticism. And honestly, I've worried about it too. I don't want to be the blind girl who overcame tragedy. I want to be a musician who happens to be blind. But I also can't pretend my blindness didn't shape who I am as an artist. It taught me to listen differently, to feel music in my bones. So if my story inspires someone, that's wonderful. But I hope what people remember is the music, not the disability." The photographer asked her to pose for pictures. "Look this way, Lily." and she had to explain, gently, that she couldn't. They adjusted, asking her to face the sound of the camera shutter instead. After 90 exhausting minutes, Patricia finally called time. "Thank you all so much. Lily needs to rest before tomorrow's performance." As the journalists packed up, one lingered, an older man with a gentle voice. "Ms. Anderson, I'm Robert Chen from the Tennessean. I write the arts and culture column. I just wanted to say, I've covered Nashville music for 30 years, and I heard you rehearse yesterday. You're the real deal. Whatever happens tomorrow, trust your gift." "Thank you," Lily said, touched by his sincerity. When they finally escaped to Daniel's car, Lily slumped in her seat. "That was brutal. You did great. Really great. Honest, authentic, thoughtful. That's exactly the story we want out there." "Did you hear that question about my mom?" Lily's voice cracked slightly. "I had to lie. I had to pretend like she's just busy, like that's the only reason she won't be there. I couldn't tell them the truth, that she can barely look at me anymore, that she's been running from me for 5 years. Lily, I know she feels guilty. I know she thinks my blindness is somehow her fault because of genetics or whatever. But I needed her, Daniel. I needed my mom, and she chose her company instead." Daniel was quiet for a moment. "Have you told her that? Actually told her how you feel? What's the point? She's made her choice. I learned to live with it. Living with it and accepting it are two different things." Lily didn't respond. The truth was too complicated, too painful to untangle in a car ride home. In Atlanta, Rebecca Anderson sat in a hotel conference room, only half listening to a presentation about market penetration strategies. Her phone buzzed with a Google alert she'd set up years ago. Lily Anderson, Nashville. She tapped the notification and found herself reading an article from Nashville Scene titled "Blind Teen to Perform with George Strait at Ryman Benefit Concert." The article featured a photo of Lily from the press conference, her face tilted slightly upward, a small smile playing at her lips. Rebecca's chest tightened. When had her daughter become so poised, so articulate? The Lily in this article wasn't the 12-year-old girl who used to beg her mom to play board games or watch movies. This was a young woman Rebecca barely recognized. The article quoted Lily talking about her blindness, about her mother. She's a CEO of a tech company, Sound Tech Innovations. She's very dedicated to her work. Rebecca read the sentence 3 times. It was factually accurate and emotionally devastating. Dedicated to her work. That's how her daughter saw her. Not as a mother who loved her, but as a woman who chose conference calls over concerts. "Rebecca, did you catch that last point?" Her CFO, Mitchell Crawford, was looking at her expectantly. "Sorry, what?" She set down her phone. "The Q4 projections. Should we move forward with the aggressive growth model or take a more conservative approach?" Rebecca forced herself to focus. "Aggressive. We've got momentum. Let's use it." But even as she spoke, her mind was elsewhere. The concert was tomorrow night. She could catch a flight after the morning session, be in Nashville by early afternoon. She could surprise Lily, show up in the audience, prove that she hadn't completely abandoned her daughter. Or she could stay in Atlanta, finish the conference, avoid the crushing weight of seeing Lily perform without being able to see her back. Avoid the reminder of everything she'd failed to prevent, to fix, to make right. The meeting dragged on. Rebecca made decisions, approved budgets, projected confidence she didn't feel. But the photo of Lily stayed on her phone screen, and every time she glanced at it, something cracked a little deeper in her carefully constructed armor. Friday arrived shrouded in cold December rain, the kind that turned Nashville's streets into rivers of reflected neon and made the Ryman's red brick facade shimmer like it was breathing. Lily stood in the dressing room backstage, her performance dress hanging on a hook that Patricia had carefully described to her. Midnight blue, fitted bodice, flowing skirt that'll move beautifully on stage. Jordan sat beside her, bouncing with barely contained excitement. I still can't believe this is happening. You're about to perform with George Strait at the Ryman. Please stop reminding me, Lily said, her hands shaking as she tried to apply lip gloss. I'm already terrified. Here, let me. Jordan gently took the applicator. Close your mouth and stay still. There was a knock at the door. 10 minutes to sound check, Patricia called. Lily's stomach lurched. She'd barely eaten all day, too nervous to keep anything down. Now she regretted it. Her body felt hollow, insubstantial, like she might float away or collapse, depending on which way the wind blew. You've got this, Jordan said firmly. I've heard you practice this song 1,000 times. You know it better than you know your own name. Knowing it and performing it for 2,000 people are very different things. So don't think about the 2,000 people. Think about the one person you're singing to. Who? 12-year-old Lily, Jordan said softly. The girl who thought her life was over when she lost her sight. The girl who found George Strait's music in the darkness and held on to it like a lifeline. Sing for her. Tell her she was going to be okay. Lily felt tears threatening and blinked them back. When did you get so wise? I've been wise. You've just been too busy being talented to notice. The sound check went smoothly. George was already on stage when Lily arrived, running through his set list with the band. He greeted her warmly, helped her find her mark, ran through their duet one final time. You nervous? He asked. Terrified. Good. Means you care. But I'll tell you a secret. Once the music starts, the nerves disappear. It's just you and the song. Everything else falls away. Lily wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust that her body would remember what her mind was too anxious to hold on to. Back in the dressing room, she changed into her performance dress, Jordan helping with the zipper and making sure everything sat right. You look absolutely stunning, Jordan said. Like a country music princess. I'll have to take your word for it. At 7:30, Patricia came to get her. The theater's filling up. We've got local news cameras here, some music industry people, couple of celebrities I spotted. This is a big deal, Lily. Not helping with the nerves, Patricia. Right, sorry. Okay, you'll be on in about 45 minutes. George does 3 songs, then introduces you perform together, then he finishes his set. You'll be brilliant. I know it. The waiting was agony. Lily could hear the muffled roar of the crowd, the opening act finishing up, the brief intermission, then George's voice booming through the sound system, welcoming everyone to the benefit concert. He performed Check Yes or No, and the crowd sang along with such enthusiasm that Lily could feel the vibration through the floor. Then, I Cross My Heart, slower, more intimate. By the 3rd song, All My Exes Live in Texas, the audience was completely his, eating out of his hand. Now, folks, George's voice turned serious. I want to tell you about someone special I met this week. Her name is Lily Anderson. She's 17 years old. She's from right here in Nashville. And she's got one of the purest voices I've heard in my 40-plus years in this business. Oh, and one more thing. She's been blind since she was 12 years old. But she didn't let that stop her from chasing her dreams. Please welcome to the Ryman stage, Miss Lily Anderson. The applause was thunderous. Patricia took Lily's arm and guided her toward the stage entrance. 12 steps to the stage, then 15 paces to center. George will be on your right, about 6 feet away. You've got this. Lily's legs felt like water. She counted steps. 8, 9, 10. The applause grew louder as she stepped into the stage lights she couldn't see but could feel, warm on her face, like sunshine. 11, 12. On the stage now. 1, 2, 3. The audience was a wall of sound, an ocean of strangers. Lily's heart hammered so hard she thought it might burst through her chest. Then George's hand was on her shoulder, gentle and steadying. "You ready?" he asked, close to her ear so she could hear him over the noise. "No," she whispered. "Perfect." That's when the magic happens. The band started playing the opening chords of Amarillo by Morning. George began to sing, his voice warm and familiar, and Lily closed her eyes, pointless but comforting, and let the music wash over her. When her verse came, she opened her mouth and sang. Jordan was right. 12-year-old Lily was right. The nerves didn't disappear exactly, but they transformed into something else. Energy, electricity, pure emotion channeled through sound. Her voice filled the Ryman, bouncing off the historic walls, reaching into every corner, touching every heart. She sang about mourning, about moving on, about finding beauty in departure. She sang about loss and resilience, and the stubborn refusal to give up even when everything goes dark. She wasn't thinking about technique or hitting the right notes or what the audience might think. She was just singing, letting the truth of her experience pour out through the music. George joined her on the chorus, their voices weaving together in perfect harmony. They'd only rehearsed 3 times, but it felt like they'd been singing together forever. The chemistry was undeniable. The emotional resonance profound. In the front row, Jordan was crying. She wasn't alone. Throughout the theater, people were wiping their eyes, completely captivated by the 17-year-old blind girl whose voice seemed to contain entire universes of feeling. In the back of the theater, standing in the shadows near the sound booth, Rebecca Anderson watched her daughter perform for the first time in 5 years. She had caught a last-minute flight from Atlanta, landed at 6:30, drove straight to the Ryman. She'd planned to slip into her reserved seat. She'd had Patricia save one weeks ago, just in case. But when the moment came, she couldn't do it. Couldn't sit among the crowd. Couldn't let Lily know she was there. Not yet. Not when she'd missed so much. Failed so thoroughly. So she stood in the back, watching from a distance, and felt her heart shatter and reconstruct itself with every note her daughter sang. This was Lily. This confident, talented, radiant young woman was her daughter. When had this happened? How had she missed the transformation from broken 12-year-old to this? The answer, of course, was that she'd chosen to miss it. She'd built walls of work and guilt and avoidance, and now she was watching her daughter's triumph through the bars of her own making. The song ended. The audience erupted. George pulled Lily into a hug, then stepped back to let her have her moment. Lily stood center stage, her face tilted up toward the lights she couldn't see, a smile of pure joy breaking across her features. "Thank you," she said into the microphone, her voice shaking slightly. "Thank you to George for this incredible opportunity. Thank you to everyone who came out tonight to support the Tennessee School for the Blind. And thank you to music itself for being there when I needed it most." More applause. George returned to her side. "Ladies and gentlemen, Lily Anderson. Remember that name because you're going to be hearing a lot more of it." Patricia guided Lily off stage, and the moment she was in the wings, her legs gave out. Daniel caught her before she hit the floor. "You did it," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Lily, you were absolutely perfect." "I can't feel my legs," she said, half laughing, half crying. "Is that normal?" "Completely normal. Adrenaline crash. Just breathe." Jordan came rushing backstage, nearly knocking over a stagehand in her enthusiasm. "Lily! Oh my God! You were amazing!" Everyone was crying. I'm pretty sure I saw Blake Shelton in the audience, and he was crying. "Blake Shelton is here?" Lily's voice pitched higher. "Focus," Daniel said, laughing. "Let's get you some water and somewhere to sit down before you pass out." They got her to the dressing room, where Lily collapsed onto the couch, still shaking from adrenaline and emotion. Someone brought water. Patricia brought her flowers. A dozen roses, absolutely beautiful. She described them. There was a knock at the door. "Lily, can I come in?" George Strait's voice. "Yes, of course." He entered, and she could hear the smile in his voice. That was something special out there. You felt it, right? That connection with the audience? I felt something. I'm not sure what. That's what we call magic, kid. Can't explain it. Can't manufacture it. It just happens when the right person sings the right song at the right moment. And tonight, everything was right. They talked for a few minutes, George offering encouragement and industry wisdom. Then he said, "There's someone here who wants to meet you. Says she's your mother." Lily froze. "What? Rebecca Anderson? She's outside. Says she came from Atlanta just to see you perform. Should I send her in?" Lily couldn't speak. Her mother was here. Rebecca had actually come. "Lily?" George prompted gently. "Yes," she managed. "Send her in." George left. Jordan and Daniel exchanged glances, then quietly excused themselves to give Lily and her mother privacy. The door opened, closed. Footsteps. Rebecca's distinctive heels on the dressing room floor. "Lily." Her mother's voice was shaking. "Hi. You were incredible. I had no idea you'd become such an amazing performer. You would have known if you'd ever come to any of my other shows," Lily said, the words coming out sharper than she'd intended. Silence. Then Rebecca said softly, "You're right. I should have been there for all of them." "Why weren't you?" "Because I'm a coward." Rebecca's voice broke. "Because every time I look at you, I see my failure. I couldn't save your sight. I couldn't fix you. And I know that's selfish and wrong. And I know I should have been the mother you needed. But instead, I just ran. I buried myself in work because it was easier than facing what I'd lost. What you lost." Lily's anger flared. "Mom, I'm the one who went blind. I'm the one whose life got turned upside down. You still had your vision, your career, your life. You could have had me too, if you'd just been willing to show up." "I know." Rebecca was crying now. "I know, and I'm so sorry. Lily, I'm so sorry." Lily wanted to stay angry. Anger was easier than the grief that lurked beneath it. But hearing her mother cry, really cry, cracked something open inside her. "I needed you," Lily whispered. "When I was 12 and scared and the world went dark, I needed my mom, and you weren't there." "I'm here now," Rebecca said. "I know it's 5 years too late, and I know I can't make up for the time I lost. But I'm here, and I heard you sing. And Lily, you were magnificent. You took the worst thing that ever happened to you, and you turned it into art. You're stronger than I ever could be. I learned to be strong because I had to be, because you checked out, and I had no choice. I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make that up to you if you'll let me." Lily wanted to believe her, wanted to trust that this moment backstage at the Ryman could be the beginning of something new, something healed. But 5 years of disappointment and abandonment weren't erased by one performance and one apology. "I don't know if I can forgive you yet," Lily said honestly. "I don't know if I even know how." "That's fair," Rebecca said. "More than fair. I'll take whatever you can give me, even if it's just this conversation, this honesty. They sat in silence for a moment. Mother and daughter separated by 5 years and 5 feet, closer than they'd been in recent memory, and still infinitely far apart. The performance really was incredible, Rebecca said finally. George is right. You have something special. Are you thinking about pursuing music professionally? Maybe. Daniel thinks I could get a record deal if I wanted, but I don't know. I'm only 17. I don't know what I want yet. You don't have to decide tonight, or tomorrow, or next month. You've got time. Rebecca paused. And if you want, I could help. Not by throwing money at it, but by actually being present, coming to shows, listening, being your mom instead of just your bank account. I'd like that, Lily admitted. But I need you to prove it. Not with words, with actions, with showing up. I will. I promise. Lily wanted to believe her, but promises were easy. It was the keeping of them that proved difficult. 3 months later, on a surprisingly warm March evening, Lily stood in the wings of the Bluebird Cafe, preparing for her first full headlining show. The venue was intimate, only about 90 seats, but it was sold out, and the anticipation in the air was electric. So much had changed since the Ryman. The video of her performance with George Strait had gone viral, racking up millions of views on YouTube. She'd been interviewed by Good Morning America, featured in Rolling Stone's Artists to Watch issue, and received offers from 3 different record labels. But more important than any of that, Rebecca had shown up. Not perfectly, not without stumbling, but she'd come to every performance Lily had given since the Ryman. She'd started taking Fridays off from work, sacred time reserved for her daughter. They'd started having dinner together twice a week. Real dinners where they talked about music and life, and slowly, carefully, began rebuilding the relationship they'd lost. There were hard conversations, therapy sessions, both individual and together. Moments when old resentments flared and new wounds opened. But there were also breakthroughs, moments of genuine connection, the slow, painful work of forgiveness. 5 minutes, the stage manager called. Lily adjusted her guitar strap, her fingers running over the frets in a nervous habit. Tonight's set list was all original songs, pieces she'd written over the past 3 months, processing everything that had happened, everything she felt. You ready? Daniel asked. Getting there. Jordan appeared with a bottle of water. Drink. You're going to need it. Full house out there, and I spotted some industry people. This is a big night, Lil. No pressure or anything, Lily said dryly. You've got this. You always do. The stage manager gave her the cue. Lily took a deep breath and walked onto the stage, navigating the familiar space with confidence. The audience applauded, and she smiled in the direction of the sound. Thank you all for coming tonight, she said into the microphone. This is my first headlining show, and I'm pretty terrified, so please be gentle. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Most of you probably know me from that viral video of me singing with George Strait. That was an incredible experience, and it changed my life in a lot of ways. But tonight isn't about that moment. Tonight is about the music I've been writing since then, trying to process everything that's happened. These songs are personal, they're honest, and they're a little bit scary to share. But that's what art is, right? Controlled vulnerability. She positioned her fingers on the guitar and began to play. The first song was called Through the Dark, and it was about losing her vision, the raw grief of it, the terror, the slow acceptance. Her voice was clear and strong, carrying the weight of lived experience. The second song, Absent, was harder. It was about her mother, about abandonment and longing and the desperate hope that maybe, someday, things could be different. As she sang, she heard someone in the audience crying. She didn't know if it was Rebecca. Her mother had promised to be here, but Lily hadn't confirmed her arrival. By the third song, Learning to See, Lily had found her rhythm. The nerves transformed into performance energy. She sang about discovering new ways of perceiving the world, about how blindness had taught her to listen, really listen, to the music beneath the noise. The set lasted 45 minutes. Lily performed 8 original songs and closed with Amarillo by Morning, the song that had started it all. When she reached the final chorus, the audience joined in, singing with her, and the Bluebird was filled with a wall of sound and emotion. The applause was deafening. Lily took her bow, thanked everyone for coming, and made her way off stage with Patricia's guidance. In the green room, she was surrounded by well-wishers. Daniel was beaming with pride. Jordan was crying again. Industry executives handed her business cards, told her to call them, talked about opportunities and potential. Then a familiar voice cut through the chaos. Lily, Rebecca. She was here. Mom, I'm here, right behind you. Lily turned, and Rebecca pulled her into a hug. A real hug, not the stiff, obligatory embraces of the past 5 years, but something warm and genuine, and full of the love that had been there all along, just buried under layers of guilt and grief. You were amazing, Rebecca whispered. Every song was beautiful, especially Absent. I deserved every word of that one. It wasn't meant to hurt you, Lily said. I know. It was meant to be honest. And I'm glad you wrote it. I'm glad you're not protecting my feelings anymore. They pulled apart, and Rebecca said, There's someone I want you to meet. Mitchell Crawford, my CFO. Mitchell, this is my incredibly talented daughter, Lily. Pleasure to meet you, Mitchell said. Your mother talks about you constantly. I feel like I already know you. Lily raised her eyebrows. She talks about me? At work? Incessantly, Mitchell said with a laugh. To the point where we all feel invested in your music career. We're all rooting for you. This was new. The old Rebecca kept her personal and professional lives completely separate. This version, the one who talked about her daughter at board meetings, was someone Lily barely recognized. I also brought someone else, Rebecca said, and there was nervousness in her voice. Someone I've been seeing. If you're okay with meeting him. Lily's stomach tightened. Her mother was dating someone? Okay, she said cautiously. Lily, this is Dr. James Patterson. James, this is Lily. It's an honor to meet you, James said. His voice was warm, educated, gentle. Your mother showed me the video of you and George Strait. You have a remarkable gift. They talked for a few minutes, James asking intelligent questions about her music and her process. He seemed genuinely interested, not just politely humoring his girlfriend's kid. And the way Rebecca looked at him, there was something soft there, something Lily hadn't seen in her mother in years. After James excused himself to get drinks, Lily turned to her mother. How long has this been going on? About 2 months. We met at a medical technology conference. He's a neurologist, specializes in optic nerve disorders, actually. We started talking about your case, and then we just kept talking. A neurologist who specializes in optic nerve disorders, Lily repeated. Mom, please tell me you're not dating him because you think he can cure me. No, Rebecca said firmly. I'm dating him because he's kind and intelligent, and he makes me laugh. And because he helped me understand that your blindness isn't something that needs to be fixed or cured. It's just part of who you are, part of what makes you the incredible person you've become. Lily felt tears prick her eyes. You really believe that? I'm learning to. It's a process. But yes, I'm getting there. They were interrupted by a young woman approaching nervously. Excuse me, Lily? I'm sorry to interrupt. but I just wanted to say thank you. I lost my hearing 2 years ago, and your music, the way you talk about navigating the world differently, it's helped me so much. You made me feel less alone." Lily reached out and found the woman's hand. "What's your name?" "Amanda. Amanda Chen." "Amanda, thank you for telling me that. Truly. That's why I write these songs, so people like us know we're not alone." They talked for a few more minutes, Amanda asking questions about adaptive techniques and Lily sharing resources. When Amanda left, Rebecca said quietly, "You're making a difference. You know that, right? Not just with your music, but with your story, your resilience. You're inspiring people." "I'm just trying to live my life," Lily said. "That's exactly what makes it inspiring." The crowd in the green room eventually thinned. Daniel pulled Lily aside to discuss the record label offers. He had strong opinions about which one would give her the most creative control. Jordan made plans for a celebration dinner tomorrow night. James and Rebecca waited patiently, giving Lily space to navigate her post-performance obligations. As the night wound down, Lily found herself alone for a moment in the green room. She could hear the staff cleaning up the venue, stacking chairs, the everyday sounds of a show ending. In a few hours, the Bluebird would be empty, and this night would be just a memory. But it felt like more than that. It felt like a beginning. Her phone buzzed with a text. She activated the screen reader. Message from George Strait. "Saw the video of your Bluebird show. Lily, you're the real deal. Keep writing, keep performing, keep being authentic. The world needs voices like yours. Proud of you. George." Lily smiled. 3 months ago, she'd been a nervous teenager performing with her idol. Now she was a working musician with original songs, industry interest, and a slowly healing relationship with her mother. The future was uncertain. She still hadn't decided which record deal to accept, still didn't know exactly where her career would lead. But for the first time in 5 years, she felt like she was moving forward rather than just surviving. The darkness was still there. It would always be there. But she'd learned to navigate it, to find beauty within it, to use it as the foundation for art that resonated with others walking through their own kinds of darkness. Rebecca appeared in the doorway. "Ready to go?" James offered to drive us both home. "Yeah," Lily said, standing up and reaching for her cane. "I'm ready." As they left the Bluebird together, mother and daughter walking side by side for the first time in years, Lily felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Not the desperate, grasping hope of someone drowning, but the quiet, steady hope of someone who's learned to swim. The March night was warm, the streets of Nashville alive with music drifting from bars and honky-tonks. Lily couldn't see the city lights, but she could feel the energy, the possibility, the promise of tomorrow. "Mom?" she said as they reached the car. "Yes? Thank you for coming tonight, for being here, for trying." Rebecca's voice was thick with emotion. "Thank you for giving me another chance. I know I don't deserve it." "Maybe not," Lily said honestly, "but I'm giving it to you anyway, because that's what love is, right? Choosing to keep trying even when it's hard." "When did you get so wise?" "I had a good teacher. She taught me that art comes from pain, that beauty can exist in darkness, and that the human voice, when used honestly, can change the world." His name was George Strait. Rebecca laughed, a real laugh, and Lily joined her. As James drove them home through the Nashville night, Lily leaned her head against the window and listened to the city, to the music, to the sound of her mother's breathing beside her. The future was still uncertain. The past still hurt. But the present, this moment, this night, this slow, painful, beautiful rebuilding of broken things was exactly where she needed to be. And that was enough.